I met you when the skies were grey, when the wind howled louder than hope, and every heartbeat was an echo in a storm I didn't understand. But then came you, walking through the rain like you'd lived through it too, your smile flickering like a lantern in fog. You didn't promise the sunset, never whispered easy lies, but you offered something rarer, presence, real, grounded, breathing presence, and in that I found warmth, not the firework kind, but the ember kind, the one that stays when everything else fades. You never tried to fix me, only held space for my broken pieces until I could see beauty in them myself. You didn't run from my silence, my scars, or the chaos in my thoughts. You stood still, a calm in the hurricane, and made me believe that maybe love wasn't just a fleeting breeze, but a shelter I could trust. And in your arms, I found not rescue, but home, a place where storms could rage outside, but never shake what lived within. You didn't just love me, you saw me, and I, wrecked and weathered, began to bloom in the rain. You spoke with more than words, your hands learned my fears, your gaze traced every doubt etched across my soul. I never knew that silence could be so full of love. But with you, even quiet moments sang. You didn't demand pieces of me, I gave them freely, because you never once dropped what I placed in your care. You learned the rhythm of my uneven heart, and danced to it without missing a step. When I stumbled, you didn't reach to carry me, you held me steady, whispering strength until I remembered my own. And when I cried, not for you to fix, but simply to feel, you held me like the world might break if you let go. I marveled at how someone could be so gentle with my storm, how you could find poetry in the thunder of my doubt. I never asked you to save me, but somehow, in loving me without conditions, you did. You turned my scars into songs and my past into soil where something beautiful could grow. And even on the days I couldn't see the light in myself, you kept the lantern burning until I could find my way back. There were days when I raged against the sky, when nothing made sense and every breath felt like drowning. But you, steady as the tide, never left. You listened, even when I had no words, when my voice was lost beneath the weight of memory and fear. You stood firm, never flinching at my fury, never retreating at my sorrow. You didn't mistake my fire for danger, you saw it as warmth, as potential. With patience, you taught me I didn't need to shrink to be loved, didn't need to hide the thunder in my chest. You made space for all of me, the wild, the weary, the wonder. And in that space I began to trust again, not just in you, but in myself. You didn't build walls to protect yourself from me. You opened windows, let the wind in, let the truth breathe. And in your honesty I found peace. Not the fragile kind that shatters with a word, but the deep, unshakable kind that weathers every storm. You didn't just love the best parts of me. You stood with me through the chaos, and in doing so, taught me what real love feels like. We had moments that sparkled, laughter that echoed louder than the thunder that had once ruled my life. You brought joy like a sunrise, not sudden, but steady, glowing stronger with each new day. I remember how your eyes lit up when I smiled, how your arms became the safest place I knew. And I think that's what love is, finding safety in another's soul, finding light even in the dark corners. With you, I didn't have to pretend. I didn't have to be perfect. I was enough, as I was, where I was. And in your acceptance, I learned to accept myself. You never asked me to change. Somehow that gave me the courage to grow. And as I healed, as I learned to breathe more deeply, laugh more freely, and dream more boldly, you were always right there, cheering, supporting, believing. You were the quiet force behind my loudest victories, the steady presence in my greatest doubts. And I hope you know, truly know, that none of this would have bloomed without your love. You didn't just walk with me through the storm. You held my hand and showed me that storms don't last, but love, when it's real, does. Every scar I've worn, every shadow I've carried, you've held with reverence, never judgment. You never made me feel like I had to hide the chapters I wished I could erase. Instead, you read them with me, whispered through the pages and kissed the places that hurt the most. And in your love, those chapters softened. Not gone, but no longer sharp. You showed me that love isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet breath beside you at 3 a.m., the cup of tea you made without asking, the way you remembered the stories I only told once. Sometimes love is just being, and you've been through every season, every storm, every silence. And I look at you now and see not just the man I love, but the soul that walked beside mine when no one else could. You taught me that being strong doesn't mean being hard, that vulnerability is not weakness, but courage in its rawest form. You've given me a love that doesn't demand, but invites. A love that doesn't wound, but heals. And in this world full of noise, you are my peace. There were nights when I doubted everything, my worth, my path, even your love. Not because you gave me reason to, but because I was still learning how to receive something so pure. I'd never known a love like this before, steady, patient, unrelenting in its goodness. I'd known chaos, known passion wrapped in fear, but never something that asked for nothing, yet gave everything. But you, my love, changed that. You made it clear with every word, every action, that I was never too much, that my silence didn't make me less, that my fire didn't make me unlovable. You didn't run from the parts of me I used to hide. You leaned in. You saw my sharp edges and never flinched. Instead, you traced them gently and told me they were beautiful. And maybe for the first time I believed it. Not because you convinced me, but because your love made it feel true. You never tried to fill my empty spaces. You simply loved me through them. And that love, slow and steady like the sea, has carried me through more storms than you know.